Then for the collection side, anybody who wants to pay to the government goes to remita.net and say, pay federal government of Nigeria, and what you want to pay for. You pick what you want to pay for, a customized paying form is presented, and then you fill in all the required information for that particular type of payment. Then when you finish all of that, we ask you, how do you want to pay? You can either, it gives you a reference number, which you can either take to a bank branch, or if you have internet banking with your bank, you can link up with the internet banking there. Or if the MDA you're going to pay have a POS machine, you can pay with the POS machine there. Or even online, you can use maybe your MasterCard, Verve, or Visa card to pay online. Irrespective of how you pay, your funding account, wherever it is debited, and we move the money to the TSA account. All of this, the MDA you are paying is able to see on their own system what you have paid for. So they know who has paid what at any point in time. And then when you now go there with your receipt, they are able to check online that it is a valid transaction. So the issue of forged receipts, for instance, are removed.
So they have a monitoring system whereby they can also cross-check what exactly is going on. But exactly. If they do have that, and you're talking about improved transparency now in the system, how come we're getting to hear that Dino Milai did raise concerning some issue that borders on transparency? Is it an issue that borders on contractual agreement between Systemspecs and the government, or something else?
You see, the whole issue surrounds the charge of 1%. I mean, in fairness, the Senate themselves commended the TSA as a project. The issues they raised were around the fees, okay? And which is a different topic on its own to say, is 1% too high a figure? I guess that is the issue to be debated. Okay, and excuse me.
Okay.
The 1%, how was it arrived at? In our contract, there was a clause that said for collections, when it's about to start, that for collections, the fee will be agreed by all the parties. All the parties, meaning it listed them, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Central Bank of Nigeria, the commercial banks, and Systemspecs, the platform providers. In May 2013, we had a stakeholders meeting.
Sorry, before we move on, did you say Central Bank of Nigeria?
Yes, please.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Continue on that.
Now, so there was a stakeholders meeting, a 2-day meeting, and one of the issues that was discussed was the pricing. There were different arguments. We recommended a maximum price of 1.5%. The banks felt it should be 5% because they would no longer keep afloat. A committee was set up. The committee recommended 2.5%. But when the report got back to Abuja, eventually we got a letter from CBN that government was going to pay only 1%.
From CBN?
Yes. So we had a letter from CBN that they will pay 1%, they will not pay the 2.5%. Now, our contract was then updated. Like I said, the first contract we had a clause that said collection prices will be agreed by all the parties. So when the 1% was now announced, our contract was then updated to reflect that it is 1%. Now, before then, we already had an agreement with the banks that for all our collections, anytime you're using our platform, as the platform providers, we're going to take 50% of whatever processing fee is agreed.
So you're taking 50% of 1%?
So we're taking 50% of 1%. Mm-hmm. And then the commercial bank that does the actual collection will get 40%. And central bank will get 10%.
So of that 1%, central bank still gets 10% of?
Yes, central bank gets 10%. So the contract was updated and all of that reflected. But like I said, this was in 2013. Transactions didn't quite happen until March this year. And then things picked up September, October.
Okay, just a moment then. Do you get a percentage on payments?
No. For payments, it's a fee. We charge 100 naira up to a maximum of, for every million. Mm-hmm. So, and usually maybe for salaries. So it comes out at roughly 100 naira per transaction.
Okay, so it's you get a fee for that. You don't get a percentage for that. But for collection, you'll get a percentage. Okay. Right. So you were explaining, at what point you started collecting the percentage that had accrued to you.
This was, like I said, roughly about March. The previous administration had said TSA would start, but because of the elections and all of that, not much happened. And like I said, not everybody was excited about
the TSA,
especially moving all the funds away from commercial banks. It was when the new administration came in and announced September 15 as the date all accounts should be closed. That was when traffic started.
When you say not everybody was excited, perhaps you're talking about sectors and agencies and maybe departments.
Yeah. Like I said, change.
Or individuals.
Individuals, institutions, industry groups, okay, who may feel there will be some distortion the way business has been done.
And were there some challenges? Because, some also complained about cash flow. Then, in some areas, salaries weren't being paid on time, and they attributed it to the TSA.
Well, everything now, even if you don't have money, you can always blame TSA anyway. But actually what happened was many people felt the project would not take off. They felt, like I said, this thing has been dragging on for years. So they felt they ignored it. Some of the MDAs didn't complete all the forms they needed to complete to register their MDA with the Office of the Accountant General. So they were caught on the offside when the new administration insisted around September, October that, look, all accounts must be closed. So when CBN eventually forcefully closed some accounts in some banks, for instance, they couldn't operate those accounts in commercial banks. They had not registered their new processes at the central bank. So, of course, there were some delays. But now, most of them have gone through that. At least a good number of them have stabilized and are now beginning to use the system.
Is this shrouded? Sorry, Mokwe, is this shrouded in secrecy? I'm asking because twice you made mention of those who are in the know as to this particular transaction and even agreement. Specifically, you mentioned the Central Bank of Nigeria, and at that hearing. You were there with the Central Bank of Nigeria, the governor of the CBN, and he said, personally, he's not in the know to that agreement.
Thank you for your question. Like you said, the governor said personally. Okay. Now, the CBN is a huge place, fine. Okay. So I guess maybe the level of detail of transactions he's aware of is what you may call to question. But, the relevant departments of CBN, our guys are there practically every day. We're working with them almost on a daily basis for the past how many years. So it is, like I said, this is something that has been driving payments of all transactions, especially salaries, for the past 4 years.